It's the HoopWise podcast from New England Basketball Journal, a comprehensive look at the basketball landscape in New England, tracking prospects, recruiting, college, and more, with your hosts, Steve Hewitt and Ethan Fuller.
Welcome back to another episode of the HoopWise podcast, part of New England Basketball Journal. I'm Ethan Fuller, back in studio with Steve Hewitt, and we got another really exciting guest for you, John Carroll, who is the basketball architect, advisor, overseer, kind of the guide for the reigning NEPSAC Class AAA champion Newman School boys program. And we're not here to talk about Newman as much, though. We're here. This came out, I think it was late July or early August.
Early August.
Story drops in the Boston Globe about a school called Masters Academy International. And I believe the headline at the time was a quote from Peter Masters about it being the IMG Academy of the North, which would be a massive game changer for this region. We wrote reaction off of that. Mm-hmm. I think it generated a lot of discussion, like what is this going to be about? How much could this change the landscape? Because especially on the basketball space, there's nothing like that here. $83 million invested into this complex, 82 acres in Stowe, Massachusetts, former Bose headquarters complex, with the goal of it basically just being a powerhouse on the level of IMG Academy. And there might be people listening to this podcast who don't really know what IMG Academy is, or a prolific prep, or those kind of sports-centric academies. Mm-hmm. So we've brought John Carroll on this podcast as the sporting director for basketball at Masters Academy, MAI, to kind of break down what's going on. John, thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
I have a lot of questions because, again, I was fascinated. We had a really great text discussion and Slack discussion about what this could all mean. So I have a bunch of questions for you. First, I guess to kind of kick it off, how did you find out about this project happening? Because this has been in the works for a while, and I believe the launch is fall 2026 for when kids will actually enroll. And so, yeah.
Yeah, so I think, I know this is focused on Masters, but it does have a Newman connection, mm-hmm. right? So the head of school at Newman is very connected with Peter Masters, who is the founder of Masters Academy International. So he connected us, and then I went out to see what was the proposed campus. They were talking about buying it. They were in works to possibly buy it, and I saw it. And so that was about 3 years ago now. And when I was coaching, I was afraid of two things. One was a boarding school in the city, and the other one was a sports academy or a performance institute in New England. I just think both of those could really disrupt what was happening in NEPSAC. And when I saw Newman, and I saw the vision for it, and that's come to be true, that there was the reason to be afraid of it. And the other one was a sports academy, because I saw the market was very driven by the opportunity to have more athletics. And not that there's a resistance, but there's a limitation to what some of the NEPSAC schools can, and obviously, public schools and private schools that are day schools, there's a limitation what they can offer. And when I saw it, took the tour of the campus, some of the facilities, like the dining hall, is plug and play. It's ready to go. It could have 700 kids in there tomorrow. And then talking to Peter, I saw it. Like, that's what I was afraid of. And now to be a part of it has been really amazing, to see the development of it and all the processes and the meetings that we've had, and the thoughtfulness and the staff that we're hiring. It's really been amazing to watch. So 3 years ago was the initiation for me. 8 years ago was the idea for Peter and his brother Chris to start this thing.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember I was trying to do some more background research, and I believe there's a PDF online about kind of the intro and the vision mm-hmm. for MAI, and I believe it was dated like 2021. So this mm-hmm. has been a process. And again, I imagine it's extremely helpful to have, like you've said, the campus already exists in a lot of respects. You just kind of have to fine tune stuff and get it ready for sports. But does that make a lot of this process easier, that there is a site that makes a lot of sense already?
Yeah, I mean, I think this would be nearly impossible to do it from scratch. Right, and having the infrastructure of this facility, especially where you could just kind of, you're saying refurbish it. Like the office spaces are classrooms already. The front office is already the admission office already. Like, there was just, the dining hall is set, the equipment is there. They, Bose left plates, forks, everything. So like all the little things that would be really expensive and take a lot of time, it's ready to go. So walking around the building, the heavy lift in my opinion, was already there, right? And then it was finding out who is going to be the primary investor, who are the partners are going to be with this. And once all that started to come, it became easier and easier. And now it's just executing on what, is drawn out on all the pieces of paper. But the building is there, the infrastructure is there, the commitment is there. So it was easy to kind of see the vision for it and how it's going to play out. Yeah.
So take us into when, I guess maybe you heard about it for the first time, and when did Peter reach out to you? What did he try to sell you on kind of what the vision was? Obviously, you mentioned the connection with Mike Schaefer at Newman, and so I'm just kind of curious, like, how did you kind of hear about this and kind of take this in initially?
I mean, for me, it's, I want people to have an understanding of the language that they're using. And I really want to align with philosophies and approaches and attitudes. And I will use the word disruption, I'm sure, a few times during this, because that's really what it is. And, I like people that want to disrupt. I like people who are innovative and want to evolve. And everything that I've talked to with Peter, his brother, Mike Schaefer over at Newman, like, all of it has been innovative. All of it has been, evolving. And, this is really like my background, and I worked at Morgan Stanley for a while, and it's very market driven. And for years, I've seen the market want this for years. So it wasn't like something that like popped out of nowhere. I'm like, hey, we're thinking about this. What do you think? It's like, I've been thinking about this for years. Yeah. And then people in my circle that I've talked to, they know I've been talking about it for over a decade, that this is coming. And if IMG in particular decided to franchise and relocate and have regional spaces, that would really cause some damage to those territories, right? Like, it would really disrupt the Southwest if they had an IMG there. It would really disrupt the Northwest if it would have IMG, and it would disrupt the Northeast. So I was already there, and then finding someone with the ambition, the passion, the commitment of Peter Masters and his crew, I was already there. So I didn't need to be dragged to this. I didn't need to be convinced. I just needed to be shown that this was a possibility and there was an opportunity to do it. So it wasn't a hard presentation. So this was like I said, 3 years ago.
Yep.
We were in, the back of his truck at the time because we couldn't get access to the building yet. So the meeting was on the campus in his trunk, looking at all the, the displays, and here are the diagrams, and here's the, what the dorms are going to look like. Here's where the gym is. So, but I believed in him, and I think seeing him have success in his sport, in hockey, he's running New England hockey pretty much, and I think he had a tournament over the past 12 months. He's had 27,000 athletes at his events. Wow. It's a significant operation, and he's proven that he can do it. So the language he was using was right, the attitude was right, the presentation, it all aligned for what I wanted to be a part of.
Yeah. Again, I imagine a good amount of our listeners are very locally centric and don't even understand what IMG does is so different. Yeah. And again, there are a couple of these places, like in various respects, like a Prolific Prep or a Utah Prep, and that have kind of popped up and tried to do something similar. Can you explain in a succinct way what is different about IMG and your intentions with the MAI that make it different from a prep school?
Yeah, so a traditional prep school approximately gets about 2,500 hours of athletics, right? Double that, right? So there's much more of a commitment to the athletic side. And I always say, a lot of times prep schools have to be good, and it's entrepreneurial. It's really the head coach that decides to really make the move, rather than the school deciding, hey, we're going to be really good at lacrosse, we're going to be really good at hockey. But there's an apology that you have to have, and you have to tiptoe through that process where the school isn't really committed to let's go all in on athletics. They commit to athletics, but there's a reluctance to going all in, right? Quote unquote all in. And at places at IMG, there's not that apology. It's like, we're going to be in an athletic focused, sometimes even athletic leading opportunity for kids with very strong academics, right? So I think it's just, student athlete. It's, it might be athlete student too, I think that's okay. So we're going to do 4 hours a day of athletics, 5 hours of academics. In a traditional prep school, it's, 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, and then, a bigger chunk of academics. So we'll still have a very high-end opportunity for kids to pursue academics at the highest level, and you can chase athletics as hard as you want to chase it in the same level that you commit. So like I've always said this, if a kid wants to take multivariable calculus, linear algebra, number theory, and math, the school will support that. That kid's in class 2 hours a day, and he can get math help later on in the day, and he can meet with his teacher one-on-one. So like there's no stop and no limit to the access that they can get in the arts and then get in academics. For whatever reason, there is a limit to what they can get in athletics. And we're going to remove that limit. So if a kid wants to have mental training, more often, he can get it. If a kid wants to meet with a strength coach, he can get it. If a kid wants to meet with his coach, he can get it. So it's just pursuing what they want to pursue at the highest level, aligned with all the other things that we're going to offer. High-end social, high-end academic, it's all going to be there.
Yeah. I want to read this. I thought was by far the most fascinating quote from the Globe article. Again, this is, I should properly attribute, Michael Silverman wrote this. Peter Masters said, I just want to read this. We are trying to create the IMG Academy of the North. New England has the best private school market in the world, and so many students that are heading to private schools that are just looking for better athletics than their public schools can offer. But all the schools are still doing the same training that they've been doing for the last 80 years. 3 sports, 3-month seasons, shorter schedules, history teachers and admission directors as coaches, and they don't have full-time professional people. You cannot, over a 4 to 6 year period, compete with kids who are doing 4,000 to 6,000 more hours of sports. Just anecdotally, I can tell you that's impossible. So that very much aligns with exactly what you've just said. And if I am a prep school coach, and which you have been, would that be intimidating for the rest of the landscape here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't use that word or that phrase lightly, that I was afraid of a performance institute coming to New England, because I know what that can offer. And as a prep school coach, in the article we talk about Cooper Flagg, and there was a limit to what I could offer him. And here there won't be a limit, right? Like I know there's only so far you can go. So yeah, I mean, you're essentially giving them 2 years, using that math, you're doubling up the opportunity to improve in your sport by 2. And exponentially, that's every day. It's more improvement every day, and exponentially, that's just an enormous number. The amount of impact that can have on a student athlete and his experience as a person who's passionate about their sport. So I think you're going to see dramatic improvement on the skill side, on the competitive side, on strength, on mental training. It's just going to be exponential because every hour they get more just adds to the previous hour they just had. So I think it's a dramatic impact on what is offered athletically.
It's good that you mentioned the Cooper Flagg. I was going to wait to ask about that sort of experience with recruiting him.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was back when you were at NMH, but can you take us into what that was like and maybe what they were seeking that couldn't be kind of offered here in New England? And I think you also mentioned AJ DeBanza. That's the type of kid that would want to stay here if this existed when he was looking for prep schools in New England. Is this something that the top end, the number ones, the top recruits are going to look at, and
yes,
this is going to keep them here?
That's right. That's the ambition for sure.
That's the ambition.
Yeah. I mean, I had AJ DeBanza on our campus in 7th grade. He was at our lab prep camp, camp that I run with James Cormier. And he was the best. We knew then, we were like, this is a different kid, right? And developed a relationship with the father, and there really wasn't much of an opportunity for us to get him, right?
Yeah.
Went to St. Seb's, and then we knew the next move was outside the region.
Yeah.
Because they wanted access full time, So number 1 player in the country. We're talking about professional development, exposure to agents, exposure to the highest level trainers. He's training with NBA players as a 10th grader, 11th grader.
Right.
So there's limited resources there when you're talking about, and this gets back to the city part, the access that Newman has and the partnerships that they can create in a city is significantly different than what I could at my previous school, which was 70 miles away from Boston and pretty isolated.
Right.
And then you get Cooper, he has a twin brother, Ace, and my angle was I'm going to recruit Ace in the hopes that I can get Cooper. On the path that Cooper was on it was, a rocket ship to one of the top players in the country. But I thought Ace was a really good fit for us. And I thought maybe we can get Ace and then we can get Cooper to come along with it. But they went on the side of the Cooper side because of, what we all see what happened. And this is the path that he was on early. But yeah, I remember being up in a game in Maine, sitting next to Max Good. We're both wearing masks. And Cooper Flag is going out to do a jump ball against a 5'4" kid because they knew they had no one that could possibly jump with them anyway, so just concede the tip, So I think with Cooper and his family, it's an extraordinary family. They have he's very, very fortunate to have the leadership that he has in his father and his mom. Ralph and Kelly are awesome, and they made the right decision. And at no point did I think we were in really good shape to get him. Right, and I think that's why I took the approach of let's try and get Ace, academic kid, really smart, really skilled, and he fit us perfectly. But I also understood what the decision was, and now there's a place where those two can both be served at Masters, like this opportunity, this programming, hopefully the coaches that we get, and they can both be served. So right now there isn't a place where both can be served. And I think that family is, well, not the family, but those two boys are a good example because they are a little bit different and their paths were different. And where can both of them be served in New England right now? Yeah. I'm not sure that place necessarily exists. I think there's a couple that could probably pull it off. I think Jason at Brewster, I think James at Cormier, at Cushing, I think Newman could do it. But they made the decision to go somewhere else. And that makes sense,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I want to get into some more questions about the basketball specific side of this, but before I do that, can you give us kind of a general check-in on where things are at with MAI and just the behind the scenes, like construction? It's not really construction, I guess, but where are things at a little less than a year out from first day of school?
Yeah, so the construction, there's quite a bit of construction. So they do have to change, phone offices to dorm rooms, right? So they have to open up the interior of the building, create a skylight, have a quad, all this stuff. So they do have some work to do for sure. And then they have to do some work on the fields. So that's what's happening right now. If you go onto their campus today, there's 20 trucks on campus. There's all kinds of plows. There's all kinds of equipment. And they're working. So the question I asked Peter was, when can I really start bringing families here where they don't really have to use their imagination to figure out what we're going to be doing here? Like, when can they actually see, a dorm room? When can they see a classroom? And, we're about 5 weeks away from that. And I think, anyone who's around construction, like sometimes it can happen slowly and then really quick. And I think right now we're just setting the foundation to really get the work done. So I would say, we're in really good shape. We're right on time. And then I'm just really excited. Every time I go, it's a completely different space, Yeah. So I think, if you go every 3 weeks, you're going to see a really, really different place.
Do you have, this is a niche question, I just got curious. Do you have a vision for like a mascot or like school colors yet, or is that still?
Yeah, that's all being voted on.
Okay.
And, yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Okay.
The colors are good. The logo we did, and it's been fun to watch, like really from 0 to 100, watching this process play out, seeing the investor meetings, being a part of that. And then deciding on the colors and deciding on the mascot, deciding on all that. Yeah, that's been really interesting to be a part of too.
Yeah, I would have fun with that. Just you really get a fresh start with brand building and everything. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Wait, so you do have colors voted on?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you
Yeah, it's blue, orange, and white.
Is that already out there? Did I miss that?
I don't know if it's out there yet.
Okay.
But I almost wore the shirt today with the logo. But it's an M, obviously, with Masters, and then it's blue, orange, and
like a block M kind of?
Kind of, yeah, a little bit different than that.
All right.
Yeah, I think I might actually have it. I'll pull it up and show you guys.
Okay, cool. Maybe we can use it in the social graphic or something.
Yeah.
So pivoting to basketball. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Did you have any?
No,
more?
I was going to do the same thing.
Okay. It was interesting to me again that you joined this kind of mission because Peter and Chris are primarily hockey guys.
That's right.
And hockey, we literally had an episode with the Hockey Journal side of our company about the differences between basketball and hockey, and the academies were a large part of that. How much are you listening to what they know about hockey academies, and how much are they listening to you about, like, hey, basketball does it a little bit differently than kind of the hockey academies do? Like, what is the dynamic between the two of, or I guess three of you?
Yeah, I mean, I think primarily it's me and Peter that do the talking, but it's we're learning a lot about each other's, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the advantage I had that he didn't have was I worked in admissions for 14 years, and I interviewed hockey players all the time. And we had a hockey team on campus, so I was able to watch the whole thing. And then I also really paid attention to when South Kent made the move to go from a prep team to a junior hockey team and having that on their campus. I thought that was a disruption, right? And so I've really paid attention to the hockey. He hasn't really paid too much attention to basketball. Okay. So in terms of like sharing of information, I have a little bit more of a head start than he does. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of similarities. The market, and this is what I think he learned, that the market is the same in every sport. Lacrosse is looking for the same opportunity, right? Baseball is looking for the same opportunity. Football, so whatever the sport is, hockey, basketball, like all of the families are looking for the same opportunity to get their kids, teach them life skills through a passion, and that passion happens to be their sport, and let's go for it, right? And I think one thing that is similar to all of them, no one wants a ceiling on what's possible, right? And I think that's a similarity between all the sports that we're talking to. So there's been give and take for sure, and I think I'm certainly getting a deeper appreciation, especially knowing at the level that he does it at, and the volume that he does it at. And ours has been much more niche on the basketball side. So, we're not running tournaments, we're not running club teams, we're prep school coaches, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit different of a niche, but the reason that this is going to work is the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Cool.
So your title is sporting director. I guess what does that look like? What does that mean? Is it similar to what you're doing at Newman in any way?
It's the scale is different.
Okay.
There's no summer programming at Newman.
Right.
There's going to be summer programming here. So there's a 12-month basketball calendar at Masters. And then it's like, all right, well, how are we going to cut that up? So do we cut it up September to May, and now you have staff there, and then you have the June through August staff. Does the September through May staff want to do part of the summer? Do they want to do all the summer? Do they want to be 12 months? So like, there's that part of it that doesn't exist at Newman because we have, Jackson's our basketball coach, right? And there's no summer programming. And then it's, the rest of it is similar to Newman where it was like, okay, well, what league are we going to be in? Who's going to be our coach? Are we going to have an affiliation with a sneaker company? Is there going to be partnerships? Like, where is that going to happen? So I think there are similarities, but the scale is really different. And, a 9-month basketball, September to May prep school experience is different than a 12-month, business on how to run basketball at the highest level.
Yeah.
You kind of led into what my next questions were, which is what is the vision for where this team competes? Again, a lot of these programs like IMG Academy are on the Nike's UIBL Scholastic circuit or one of those similar types of circuit. I know Adidas, I believe, is creating their own circuit right now. Mm-hmm. Do you have any concrete directions that you are wanting to go with where this team competes, or is that still up in the air?
Yeah, that's up in the air. I think what happens in prep school, the administration cannot be an expert in the sport that coach is coaching, right? So I really want to leave it to where whoever we decide the coaches are going to lead that kind of conversation. So if we hire some coach who has very strong Adidas connections, then that'll be that. If we have an independent coach, that'll be that. If a coach has Nike connection, that'll be that. So I think we're really going to leave that window open and really lean on whoever we hire in the end to kind of lead that direction in terms of what they want to do with their team and have that be a very instrumental part of the decisions we make. Mm-hmm. So at the moment, we're wide open. Okay. We're having conversations with a bunch of people, and I love my plan A, and I love my plan B, and I really, really, really like our plan C. Mm-hmm. So it really will depend on which direction we go in terms of coaching, and especially year one. I don't want to hire somebody in there and be like, hey, this is what we're doing, right? And I really want there to be ownership and leadership given to whoever takes that job, and then we can have conversations about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know your background is largely on the boys' side. Mm-hmm. Is everything we've talked about so far and everything that we'll kind of keep talking about similar with the vision for whatever girls team comes out of this? How much are you also directing that too? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be something similar to that too, where it'll be the coach, right? So we're going to, fortunately, we had the experience that we've had at Newman where we added a girls program a year ago and learned a lot about girls basketball and the NEPSAC and how that all works. And, the players there. And then also, having the Bolin brothers at Newman and having Lori Bolin, director of the Bay State Jaguars, she's a phenomenal basketball person. Being able to lean on her on the girls' side has been really valuable. And so we're going to do something similar with MAI, where we're going to bring in a really great coach and give them the freedom and the opportunity and whatever they need in terms of leadership. We just want to provide it. But it'll be the same kind of operation on the girls' side. This will be a high-level program for girls too. Okay. Because I think the market's ready for that on the girls' side too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kind of get into the nitty-gritty a little bit. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but is it going to be multiple teams, kind of like some of the IMG has like a top team and like a prep team? And
Brian Nash is a really good friend, and he was the director of basketball at IMG for years.
Yeah.
And what he did was extraordinary. I mean, he built that to, I think that in the end, before he moved up and became, VP of athletics over there, I think they got to 20 teams. And that's extraordinary, right? And they had they had to place 82 kids last year.
Wow.
In the senior class. And that's masterful work by Brian. But for me, when I explored that, it was just too mature, and I'd like to build more than I like to, take over something that's really mature. And we'll never get to that. Like, we'll never be a 20 team, 15 team, 10 team. We'll never do that.
Okay.
So we're still slicing it out in terms of next year. We'll have 2 teams for sure. And it's whether or not we have a 3rd team development team. I do like the philosophy that we're taking with our middle school kids, where it'll be a training academy, but it won't be interscholastic. Mm-hmm. So our middle school kids, 6th through 8th, will come and train. And if they want to continue to compete, they can stay with their club teams and, still play, have interscholastic competition, but not have it be representing masters.
Okay.
But it will be a development academy. So depending on how we slice that, you could have anywhere from 20 to 30 kids year one. Girls side, I think we'll start with 1 team. So it'll be some shape like that. Again, without having the coaches on board officially yet. We haven't made those decisions, permanently yet, but we're still evolving that for sure.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah. And then, again, I don't know how much you can say or know yet, but we've talked so much about the impact on the region and the goal. One of the goals being to kind of keep a lot of the region talent in region. Yeah. When you think about building these teams, are you, especially early, are you going to be primarily recruiting and building teams and staffs from New England that as a concrete goal? Or, again, in the case of IMG and a lot of these places that recruit all over the country or all over the world, what is the scope of the type of players and people that you want in this program?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's always about talent. So of the guys that I coached that were my assistant coaches, they came from college. They came from club teams. They came from another prep school. So it's really about who is the most talented people we can get our hands on, right? So where they're coming from is less significant. I do think the head coaches need to have an understanding of the New England region for sure, right? But in terms of staff and support underneath there, they can come from anywhere. The players are going to come from all over the world. So there has to be some access and understanding and experience with coaching global players. By the time I was finished, I think I've coached 20 different countries.
Wow.
And I think that's the kind of exposure that these kids are going to have. And I think this opportunity is really going to draw people from around the world. And I think especially, this is a bigger picture thing with the NIL stuff and watching University of Illinois go hard in the European market. I think you can see more and more European kids, especially coming over for prep school. And we're already seeing other regions just funnel prep school, from all over the world. Mm-hmm. So I think you can see more and more of it. So, but I imagine our head coaches will have to have some, at least, above the average experience with New England basketball. But beyond that, it's going to be wide open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
This is just a thought I've had with the recruiting piece, and you could tell me if I'm wrong. But do you feel like there will be any challenges in maybe like getting like the kind of the first people to like commit almost? Because obviously, what you're selling is an amazing opportunity, but you haven't done it yet, right? Is there? I feel like maybe you had similar challenges at Newman at first.
Yeah, I mean, Newman was a far significant, way more of a challenge than this, right?
Yeah.
So at Newman, they've been around for 80 years, extraordinary school,
Yeah.
right in the middle of Boston. So it had some like real advantages right from the jump. But they did not have a basketball program that was, I think they were Class D.
Yeah, the
right?
ones Class D. Yep.
So they were Class D, and Mike Schaefer called me in April and visited the school, and around late May we decided to take it, and then I called Jackson Johnson up and I'm like, hey, you got 8 seconds to answer this. You want to be the head coach at Newman? I see the vision for it, and he got lucky and said yes. So we had no players in June of 22. We don't have a gym, and we got 17 players to say yes by August. So that was daunting.
Yeah.
This is not daunting.
Okay.
Selling a performance institute in, Stowe, Massachusetts, in a beautiful place, and you have a year plus to get ready for it. This is not daunting.
Gotcha. Yeah.
If Plan A happens, we will not have a problem recruiting players. If Plan B happens, we will not have a problem. Plan C, we won't have a problem. So I think I don't see what the obstacles are initially in terms of recruiting players. There's plenty of obstacles, but I just don't see that being one of them with the opportunity that we can offer of this high-level basketball experience on a great campus with a really strong academic program, with a faculty and administration that's completely committed to having, sports be the lead and have success on every turn. So I think, it's going to have a buzz, already does. But I think once we start announcing, who's joining, on the staff side, in all the sports, the momentum is just going to keep building, and people are going to realize that, Masters just isn't messing around when it comes to being committed to excellence across the board, never mind really chasing the athletic side. Yeah.
You touched on two things. These are kind of the last two areas I want to get to. First is the kind of plan for you. Do you consider this, like, are you in this role to build the program, and then once it's ready to go, you'll kind of take a step back? Or are you, like, is this a long-term kind of relationship that you plan to have with Masters as it keeps growing over the next few years?
Yeah, I'm committed to Masters. I'm in a fortunate place where there's already a connection with Newman, so I don't have to give up the Newman side of it either. The academics that we're using at Masters is the Newman curriculum. The head of school at Newman is involved in the Masters program. So there's already coordination there. So I'll do both, and my job is to get it up and running and be a mentor, leader, accessible to the coaches, whatever they need is, and to make sure that I'm serving the school and our administration to the best possible way I can, right? But I'm going to keep my relationship at Newman also.
Yeah, that was my follow-up, especially with you and Michael Schaefer having such important roles. So nothing changes with Newman?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to, the Masters, you're going to have sports in the morning and sports in the afternoon, and basketball is going to be in the morning. So we're going to have 8 to 12 in the morning, and then the kids will have lunch, and then they'll go to their academic programming, and Newman has basketball in the afternoon. So, and I have such a good relationship with Jackson. I don't want to lose that partnership. And then hopefully with Denise coaches, I'll have a tremendous partnership too. And there's certainly, and this speaks to really where the market is, Newman and other prep schools compete, but there's certainly enough kids that they don't compete at all. So Newman doesn't necessarily compete with every single kid that New Hampton gets, or every single kid Cushing gets, or every single school that Darrow gets. Like, there's some crossover, but there really isn't much. So there'll be enough where there won't be crossover. We won't be competing for kids very, very infrequently, because I just think, everyone has their different styles of coaching. Like, you're watching what Antonio Anderson's doing at Darrow. boy, is he just duplicating what his experience was. His teams look like those powerhouse Laurinburg teams, and they look like the powerhouse Memphis teams, and they're playing fast and they're aggressive.
Tough
and
teams, man.
Tall teams, right? And very, guards that pressure.
Oh, yeah.
And, well, Newman doesn't play that way, right? So Newman has, multi-positional skilled guys who can shoot, guys who are, high IQ, those type of things, right? So there isn't any much crossover there between those two teams, for example. So I think that we'll be able to do both. I think we'll be able to pull it off pretty easily.
Yeah, no, that makes sense the way you explained it.
Yeah.
I know we talked about this a little bit last year when I did the magazine feature on Newman, but just for you in your kind of, obviously you left NMH in, what was it, 21?
22.
22.
Yeah.
Obviously you spent a long time there, a couple decades, but now you're kind of into this next chapter at Newman, now Masters, all these other projects that you're a part of. Like, how much fun are you having in this sort of new chapter where you're able to attack new challenges like this and continue to evolve the landscape like you have? And obviously we're talking about two things that you said you were scared of when you were at NMH are kind of now into fruition, and you're a significant part of both of them. Like, how much fun is this this chapter of your career been?
Yeah, I mean, for a guy who had no plans on ever leaving, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I did not plan on. I thought I had as good a basketball job as you could have for the 21 years I was there, and for having no plan to leave. When I decided to leave, I was like, all right, I don't know what's next. I'm gonna say yes to everything, right? And and a lot of people made this assumption, like, oh, you must be getting like just all kinds of coaching opportunities, and there really wasn't a lot. It was surprising, even for me, it was surprising where it wasn't like, I had a couple opportunities to coach, but I didn't want to go from prep school coach to prep school coach. So I knew I didn't want to coach prep school. I had 6 ADs and 7 headmasters, and that's a lot. And so I knew I wanted to take a break from that. But I didn't know what was next. So, yeah, I'm having a blast. If you told me 3 years ago that I'd be announcing UMass games, I'd be doing the Newman thing, being involved in the program in New York City, 2 startups basically at Newman and Masters. And, this past summer I was an advanced scout for the LA Sparks. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like,
right. You never.
Like, that. 4 years ago, not a chance. So I'm sitting at Liberty games doing advanced scouts and looking at Sandy, the head coach at Liberty, calling plays, and I got to write down all the things she's saying, and her hands are going wild during the game, and I got to figure out what she's saying and who she's pointing to, and draw up that diagram and send it to the Sparks, and hopefully the Sparks beat the Liberty. So it was a blast. So yeah, I'm having a blast, and. It's hard to define what I'm doing. Like, if someone says, "What do you do?" I'm like, just say I'm a basketball guy, but it's hard to define what it is. But I'm having a blast. I'm just so fortunate that it's basketball. Like, if I had to pivot and be, back in Wall Street, I don't know if I could have done that. Yeah. But the fact that it's all basketball is really so grateful that I found a basketball niche to land on. Yeah. So I'm pumped about that.
Yeah. While we have you, obviously Newman coming off the championship season, another big year ahead with Lucas and Quinn coming back, and such a deep team, and so many exciting additions too. What are you most excited about with Newman this season, and what you guys can accomplish in? Was it year 4?
Yeah, this is year 4
partnership.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, we like I said, we had no players in June of 22, and had Ryan Mela and Luca Taves jump in. Year 2, we were top 5 in the country. Year 3, number 2 in the country in New England champs. Right off the bat, I'm always excited every day to work with Jackson. I think he's a star in the business. I think someone who works that hard and brings humility to his work can't help but be successful. And, I think people get into this business for really good reasons, and some people get into it for not so good reasons. And, he's here to serve his kids. And it's so right off the bat, it's that. I'm super excited about that every day, right? We talk a couple times a day, and everything's about how do we get this place to a space where these kids can be completely frictionless in their approach to excellence and achievement, right? So and every day we try and get a little bit less friction off and just grease the wheels for them. So I'm super excited about that. In terms of the team, you know, whenever you have a veteran team, and we did this on purpose. We're an older team. We don't have any sophomores or freshmen in the program this year. Next year that'll change. The roster will look a little bit more balanced, but this year we thought it would be really difficult for a freshman or a sophomore to come in and have to compete with this senior class that we have. Excuse me, with Quinn, Lucas, Lewis, Chase, Timmy Boland. That's a tough group to compete against that has multiple years under their belt and were tested the way they were last year. So veteran leadership, and I think Jackson put it in the article for the preview. You know, I really do believe that bad programs have no leader, good programs have the coach as a leader, and great programs have players as a leader. We haven't been a great program yet, and I think this year Newman has a chance to be a great program because these players can do it.
Yeah.
And it's whether or not they decide to do it. And that's always the exciting part, is like, as a coach and now a director, is like, what can we do to get the players in front? And that's the exciting part, and that's the thrill for me, is that build of giving them the access to own the experience across the board. And these guys have an opportunity to do it. And if they do it, it'll be spectacular to watch. So that's the exciting part, is like, can we get them? Our responsibility is to get them in front. And will they take it, and can we do that? So those two things are the things I'm most excited about, for sure.
Yeah, it's very cool. Like, we were just at the opening, what was that, last Monday? And as I've been around basketball more, really appreciated how important it is to like have built-in communication and practice. And the players communicated such a high level. It was like one of the loudest practices I go to every year is the Newman practice, and it's great because they're clearly competing. Jackson doesn't really need to say a whole lot because they're like out there leading themselves, and that's always been really neat to see.
Yeah, because I always get asked, like, why do you have this culture here? And it's like, well, it's language. So everyone like skips that very, very important piece is that, are they speaking the same thing? Like, and I always say this, when I can't even remember how many coaches and practices I've been to, and I was just like, all right, well, how do I decide if a coach is good? The questions I would ask is, does the coach know who they are, right? And then, are they good at it, right? And then finally, are they having fun with it? So then it was like, okay, you answer yes to those questions. Well, how do you prove it? If that coach wasn't in the gym, could you tell what team it was? So, the example I used at the time, it was when Ed Cooley was at Providence. You know, you go to a Providence workout, whether or not Ed Cooley's in the gym or not, you could tell it's an Ed Cooley practice, right? And that's the ambition I want for coaches. And now, if Jackson's in the gym or not, it doesn't make a difference. You know it's a Newman open run. You know, the way they communicate, the way they compete, the style of play, and I think that's where you really can evaluate a coach. Like, if the coach is not in the space, does the whole thing just fall apart? Do they cheat? Do they, cut corners? Are they now all of a sudden they have a bunch of turnovers? Do they take bad shots? So I think that's really where Newman Run is now, and I think it's an unbelievable space where it's just like the coach doesn't need to be there because the kids understand what the language is, what the culture is, how to compete. So it's pretty cool at the moment.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. My last two questions about MAI, going back to that. You have mentioned multiple times and pretty confidently how much of a disruptor this can be and likely will be. Mm-hmm. You are in prep school circles. When this Globe article came out, in the months since, what have the talks been like among prep coaches? What do they think about this?
Yeah, so it was curiosity. Tell me more about it. It was, can I get a job? And they see it and they all know. And again, like, these are the conversations I've had over the years with prep school coaches. So again, this isn't like, the market, we didn't have to come up with the idea and then do market research. Like, the market already did the research, the idea then came. So it's a little bit different because those conversations were happening already. And the conversations are always like, man, if I could really have control of my team, if I could have more access, this is different coaches saying this. I'm the expert. I know what my kids need. I know the best thing. And you compare it to like Europe, like, of course European basketball players are better than us. They're in the gym hours and hours and hours more. I was talking to a coach in the SEC last week. They're limited to 5 hours a week of team time. Like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? And I think, we're just not doing it right. And this is more of a soapbox thing. It's not just prep school. It's across the country. MIAA, right?
Yes. Yep.
MIAA coaches don't have access to their players most of the year,
That's insane.
So of course they're not going to be good at basketball. And we've seen what's happened to the MIAA. Like, it's really, if you're good at basketball, you go to prep school. So, and not just, now there's a hierarchy. And now what we saw New England used to run prep school basketball. All the tournaments were here. That's where all the national teams came here to play. Well, now it's really different. I think Adidas is really going to disrupt things. I think we saw Nike disrupt New England, and I think they'll continue to do that. So I think this is just another piece to that disruption. So it's not the disruptor, because I think that's already happened, but it's going to disrupt for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As someone who knows the culture of NEPSAC schools, do you think the existence of MAI will force NEPSAC to change some of those rules regarding out-of-season coaching, regarding 3 sports, regarding time in the gym? Or do you think a lot of them are so old and kind of traditionalist that they're not going to really want to change?
Yeah, I mean, I've had experience with presenting, making proposals to the NEPSAC, and that didn't really get much room to operate. So I think it's the really high-end schools, the schools with large enrollments, large endowment, tradition. They don't need to really make a move athletically in order to survive. They're going to be fine. Exeter, Andover, Deerfield, they're going to last another 100 years, right? It's the schools on the other end that really need help at the endowment, and I think not the endowment, the enrollment. And I think you're seeing it in college. Like, there's 2 paths. There's what's happening with NIL, and then the teams that aren't. And it's really going to come down to, professional and amateur, right? And there's going to be a real hard divide here that's going to happen in the next couple of years, where schools are going to have to make choices use a school like Iona. Like, you can't limit the scholarship opportunities and roster spots at a school like Iona that relies on their soccer teams to help with enrollment. And I think that's the same thing in prep school. Some of these schools really rely on athletics to help with enrollment. And at some point, NEPSAC's going to have to make a decision. Are we here to support all of our people, or are we just going to hold on to what we have done traditionally and not necessarily consider what the impact of enrollment is on the athletic side for all these individual schools? And we all know what the schools are. I mean, there's 20 of them that need athletics to survive, to help with enrollment. So I'm not sure what NEPSAC's going to do. My experience with them is and the proposals that we've made, there's been a little bit of room, but when NEPSAC AAA, for example, used to be 100% aligned with colleges. We had the same start date, we had the same rules. Well, that's gone away, right? So NEPSAC AAA is not aligned with college anymore. So I think there's decisions that NEPSAC has to make. But and whether they respond to or not respond to what MAI is doing, I don't know. But they're going to have to do something.
Yeah.
For sure.
This is so.
That's another
interesting.
podcast episode.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it really is.
Man. Okay. I think that's all. I could keep there's a lot of stuff. I'm not even going to get into I thought really interesting the sport majors that are for non-sport participants. That was really interesting. The whole partnership with USA Fencing. We didn't even get into that.
Yeah.
Again, separate podcast. I don't want to just keep bombarding you with all these questions.
Yeah,
but
we can do a part 2 and next year.
We'll see. Closer to first day of school, maybe we can. But yeah, that was really great. Anything else before we do full court press?
I got one thing. You mentioned it quickly. I'm so excited about even some of the names that are being thrown around for the other sports, because I really do consider myself a lifelong learner, and I just want to keep going to practices, learning how to coach, learning how to motivate. And the people that they're talking about, I can't wait to get in front of and learn and go to their practices and see how they operate. And it's I feel that way as a coach, excited about the other coaches, and I know it's going to trickle down to the kids. Where I always say a boy by himself pursuing a sport can only be so gritty. They need to have a team full of guys in order to become as gritty as they can. It's right out of the Angela Duckworth book, Grit. And I just can't wait for that, where all of us are just kind of chasing the standard. and just watching the standard just lift and lift and lift and lift because the soccer team coach is amazing and the fencer is awesome and the fencing coach is awesome and the what the guys are doing in hockey. Like, I can't wait to be around that room where everybody in there is dynamic and everyone's pulling for each other. To see that happen in New England, where all the coaches are aligned, and I want you to be great because I can be great if you're great, right? And just watching that experience, I'm really, really, really excited to see that happening at Masters. Like, it's going to be awesome to be in that room and just be like, let's all go for it. That's going to be really different.
Yeah, no, it's going to be an important part of our coverage.
Yeah, I'm pumped about it.
Thank you, Producer Dave. Take it away.
Full Court Press.
Yes, welcome back to Full Court Press with Producer Dave. And another exciting segment here. Our panelists are unprepared for these 3 questions. Today we'll be talking about basketball icons, the iconography, the iconic moments, the iconoclasts. I don't know. That's all I got. You guys are the writers.
That was more than I could have come up with.
Okay. First question, and John, you can start with this one. You are our guest after all. What's the most iconic basketball play of all time? Wow. Most iconic basketball play, the one that makes you say that is a moment in time in basketball history we'll never forget, or however you want to handle that question. All right, I've been stalling here. I've been vamping to give you time to think about it. John, you're welcome. What do you got?
The thing that visually popped in my head was Michael Jordan with North Carolina hitting that jumper from the wing.
Yeah, as a freshman.
As a freshman,
yeah.
Because I'm sitting there. I mean, I don't know when it was. I might have been like, what was that? 84. So I'm right in the sweet spot of like my basketball stuff, and I was like 12, 13, 14 years old, and seeing like that guy's different. Like, that was a different moment. Not everybody could do that. That guy did it. He's got James Worthy on his team. He's got Sam Perkins. He's got all these guys that he should defer to. And he stood up and he hit that shot. So then the next thing is when he did it against the Utah Jazz. Like,
That's the one I thought you were going to when you said Michael Jordan.
yeah, it's like those two just popped in my head. So I couldn't even control the thought. That's where it went. So I'm going to say those
Can't
two.
beat that.
Yeah.
So that was 1982.
82.
Okay.
I looked it up. I'm not that smart. But North Carolina over Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, you said the one against the Jazz was good enough to win the NBA championship. Amazing. But I think the clip that's more memorable is the one he hits over Craig Elo for the Cavs, because he is kind of moving to his right and gliding upward at the same time as he shoots. And then Craig Elo does one of those, oh, what the hell things, and just throws his hands on his head because he knows he's been had by MJ. But all good choices, all good choices. Steve, your thoughts?
The first visualization that came to my mind is Christian Laettner, the shot.
Oh, good. Yeah.
1992. I see it. It just every basketball broadcast seems to play that one.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Do you know what his shooting statistics were in that game?
His stats in that game?
Yeah, they're very easy to remember.
No.
Anyway, 10 for 10 from the line, 10 for 10 from the floor.
Wow.
Yep.
I didn't know
That's
that.
I forgot
Did you know
that. No, I'm sure I did at one point, but I forgot.
Yeah, and it's probably the best college basketball game I've ever seen. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Great one. Ethan.
All right, I'll get in my Gen Z bag a little bit. I will choose Blocked by James in the 2006 NBA Finals. I don't know, the call. Obviously, everyone can hear the call. Even though it wasn't like the game-defining play, it kind of became the series-defining moment for LeBron. That's probably his most iconic individual play of his entire arguable GOAT career, and so that one pretty immediate.
Okay, excellent choices, Hall. Okay. Question number 2, we'll go reverse order. So Ethan, you can start with this one. What's more iconic, March Madness or the NBA Finals, and why?
I'm going to say, if you're going to go a championship, I'm going to go the NBA Finals over the national championship game. However, the first 2 rounds of March Madness, I think, are the most iconic of all the parts, because everyone has sat in school while their teacher kind of lets them go on their phones or laptops or whatever, and you can just watch games those 2 days. It's literally an entire day of great, insane basketball. So that, I don't know if that's cheating, but I would say the first 2 rounds of March Madness are the most iconic of both like postseasons.
All right.
Yeah.
Not bad. I when I was in law school in, I want to say 1993, I had a handheld television which used to exist. They were, yay big, about the smaller than a bread box with an antenna sticking up, and I was trying to watch my Penn Quakers in the first round of the tournament. One of their few appearances, and they didn't win, but the TV was pretty cool. Steve, your thoughts?
I'm gonna have to agree. I'd argue it's the 2 best days on the sporting calendars, the Thursday and Friday of the NCAA tournament. There's just nothing beats the 14 going against the 3, and I've been lucky enough to be courtside for a few of those big upset wins.
When the bench starts jumping up and waving the towels around, that's when you know it's special.
Yep.
I was there in 2014 when Mercer beat Duke, because UMass was in the tournament that year, and I was covering them. And there's just nothing like the small school that no one's ever heard of beating a Goliath like Duke. And
we used to not have been familiar with Gonzaga. Now they're a household name.
exactly.
Even last year, we were at McNeese last year at Providence. That was
That's right.
awesome.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, there's something weird. I don't know if weird's
It's
the
just
right word, but
magical.
Yeah, but it really is that first week, the first 2 days. You're right. The first 2 days is the best, and let's be honest, the final is often anticlimactic. Not always, but often. John, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is easy. This is NCAA for sure. Yeah.
You have a favorite memory of the tourney?
No, I just like it. For me, it's just much more personal. Like, I've coached kids that played in it, so like that's for me, it's really different. Just watching kids achieve what they wanted to achieve in the NCAA tournament. Like, you ask former players what their favorite memory is. Oftentimes, it's the NCAA tournament. So I don't have a favorite memory, but I think, again, this is going to go back to my younger days. But the Big East having 3 in 1984, I think it was, with Mullen and Patrick Ewing and Villanova, that was pretty good.
See, history lesson for you young kids, the writers in the room here.
That's right.
The Big East used to be a big deal, and you could name, maybe not players on every team, but every coach was larger than life. John Thompson, Raleigh Massimino, even Gary Williams for BC, Jim Boeheim, who's the guy who Latrell Sprewell choked PJ Carlesimo. Like, they were these titans of basketball.
There are a few of them now, I guess. Patino and Hurley.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, true, but it was like,
it's not every coach.
Yeah, like the Big East, like it was can't miss basketball. They were all great. Anyway, and I think I left out a couple. All right, Steve, I believe it's your turn.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Are we done with that question?
Oh,
no, you're right.
Yeah,
no, I blew it. Never mind. Don't listen to me. We're moving on to question number 3 in a disjointed version of Full Court Press. The final question is, if aliens came to Earth and said, show me basketball, and you, using magical wizard-like powers, could summon any player in basketball history, not necessarily the best player of all time, but player that really epitomizes. You want to know basketball? Meet this guy. John, we'll start with you.
I thought it was Steve's turn to go first.
Was it?
Yeah.
I think so.
I think it's, yeah.
No, because we reversed the...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Oh, so we're going
I haven't
back
gone first.
Okay,
Yeah, we go back around. Unless you can pass if you want.
I'm going to pass for a minute. I'm going to come back.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
We're asking the best player that epitomizes basketball.
I would remove the word best. And
Okay.
I would argue just the simple, you want to know about basketball, watch this guy play.
Gotcha.
All right, Steve, sorry, you're next.
I don't know why Larry Bird comes to mind.
It's not a bad answer at all.
Yeah.
It's because he's Larry effing Bird. That's why.
And I don't really have a good explanation. It's just like I see the highlights in my head because I wasn't really born to watch his career. But
Well, let me put the words in your mouth. Since I was there when Larry was king in Boston, it's probably because his innate basketball skills
just the
were,
IQ.
Yeah, what he was known for was not. I mean, he would fully admit, I can't jump and I can't run. Like he's a slow white guy, but his basketball instincts were just insane. And, if you had that alien, I would show him the play where he steals the ball from Isaiah and flips it over. Yeah, Bird stole the ball. Oh, God, these kids today, John, I tell you. No, it was a playoff game against the Pistons.
Yep.
Dennis Rodman was a rookie, and Larry Bird goes up for what could be the winning shot, gets blocked. It gets blocked off a Celtic, out of bounds. There's like 3 seconds left. Isaiah goes to put the entire garden is deflated. Everyone is in shock. Larry Bird just let us down. Before you know what happened, he had stolen the ball from Isaiah, and DJ. Anyway, you've seen the clip.
Another
people.
iconic moment. That could
Yes.
have been our first answer.
I agree. Ethan.
I'm trying to make it a little more interesting and not just pick like Jordan or LeBron, because I probably would pick them. So I'll throw Steph in there if we're going to talk about today's game. I don't know. Even today, like, just the shots he makes still on a daily basis are just ridiculous. Or we can show the aliens his warm up routine, and he'll make even crazier shots from like the tunnel. And so
Good answer. I would argue Larry Bird best known for his passing abilities. He was an unbelievable passer. But let's get a shooter. Just show the alien a shooter as well. So maybe no more pure shooter than Steph.
Yeah.
All right, John.
All right.
You've had enough time.
This is tough. Because if you want to get the, like Ethan just said, if you want to get the alien really excited about basketball, you can show him the spectacular stuff.
Right.
So you would be LeBron and Michael. I'll tell you who I really love to study. So, you're talking about Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, right? And then I've been watching a lot of film lately of WNBA games, and I think Breanna Stewart might be the smartest player in the world right now. Watching her play, she's really, really smart.
Wow, he really showed you guys up. Come on, you guys are supposed to be the woke generation.
No,
He's the coach, man.
that was a great pick. She's so good.
So good. Again, I watched them a lot because I was doing it for the Sparks, but really the way she sees the game and how she anticipates, and like we always say, high IQ is as a player that can understand where the other 9 players are on the floor, and she does that as well as anyone I've ever seen, where she just understands where the other 9 players are on the court at all times.
Yeah.
So it's cool to watch for sure.
And the fact she's as good a post player as any in the league, and also is a ridiculous shooter.
That's right.
Like she's so versatile. It's
I'd argue MJ or LeBron maybe isn't the best example of that, although they're both very good passers. But a lot of times they didn't need to be good passers. They have such
Physical.
such.
traits.
I mean, I feel like LeBron. It's going to sound like a knock on him because I don't care for him, but I always thought LeBron was like your big brother. You're playing one-on-one, and if your big brother starts to lose and realize he might lose, what does he do? He drives to the basket with such brute force, gives you a bloody nose. So, but, I'm just saying that's why Breanna Stewart maybe is a great example, because that court sense, that, field general ability is rare. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, you've all done very well, and I hope your kids learned something today.
Yeah, I did.
Full court press. And back to you guys to wrap things up. And thanks for being a good sport.
Yeah, great questions again. I have so many more for you too, John. I didn't even know about your WNBA scouting experience, so that'll be another podcast because I want to ask about that. Dang. But yeah, this was awesome. I hope this answered a lot of questions that viewers have about kind of what is coming with MAI. It is, as you've said, going to be a disruptor and going to be just a very different addition to the space that we cover. And so we appreciate you being so open about a lot of those topics. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
So for Steve Hewitt, for producer Dave, I'm Ethan Fuller. We got more coming at you. We'll see you next time.